Why did you post that video, Cruz? That's not the video you're supposed to use. It's the intro video. It's fine. Um, is Othal? Hi, Mr. Brand. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We just can't see you for some reason.
Well,
are you able to share your camera? Oh, your camera went away. Don't know.
No.
We can hear you, but no video yet.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that's about.
Neither do I. We can't fix it. We're live already. You shouldn't have any issues. You want to do me a favor? Just leave studio. At the bottom of the leave studio, and then try to do it again and give permission when you're logging back in for your camera and your microphone. Yeah. Guys, hi, welcome. Sorry we're having technical issues. We wanted to start on time for you all as soon as we possibly could, but we're having technical issues, and Ms. Producer's not joining us, so Cruz is handling the backstage stuff for us today. So guys, join us. We're going to have Mr. Brand on with us. This is Real Politics Live. And we'll be... yeah, if you want to put some, guys, if you don't mind sharing the video for us, that'd be great. You can join us on facebook.com/realpoliticslive and also on youtube.com/realpolitics. And it'll be great. Hey, Gladys, how you doing? Yeah, so as soon as Mr. Brent comes in, we'll be able to ask him some questions, and we'll have an introduction next we've done for all of our mayoral candidates and city commission candidates throughout the valley that have joined us here on Real Politics. And Cruz is, like I said, is going to be doing us the backstage stuff for us. So if you have any problems or issues, blame him, not me or Ms. Producer. Just blame him. Yay. Yeah, we'll be okay. And so while we're, I guess, here waiting,
but we still don't have video.
It just must be something to do with your laptop. I guess we'll just do the video. I guess the interview, if that's okay with you, just with your audio as opposed to your camera work, so we can be able to give you an opportunity to speak. It's surprising though that we haven't had any issues with anyone so far. So I don't know. It must be some sort of a glitch. Maybe on the camera should be working. Have you? And we can hear you pretty clearly, I guess. So we're gonna have a black screen for Mr. Brand. And that'll be good, I guess. It might be, do you have maybe down at the bottom, you'll see something that says camera mic on the bottom. It's like a little wheel, yes. Settings wheel. Click on that for me and see if maybe you can look on the camera itself and see if maybe there might be like some sort of a setting where you have to like go up and down or something, depending, to maybe show you up a little bit, because it's completely black. But maybe it might be some sort of, oh, he went back in and out again. Oh, okay. I guess he left this. Okay, we'll do it again one more time, and if it doesn't work, we'll just do it without. We'll just have an audio. We'll just feel like we're on the radio, and it'll be great for you, everybody. Awesome. Yeah. So there's been a lot of news that has happened in and around the valley today, and the Monitor and the Valley Morning Star and the Monitor and the Brownsville Herald had an interesting story about what's happening in our bus stations throughout the valley because of the new change in the administration and their policy with regards to catch and release, and how many different thousands of different vaccines that are coming down to the valley in order to, I guess, check to see if they have either the Rona or test to make sure everything is okay and safe. I'm curious what you all think about it, and I'm most definitely will be talking about that with Mr. Brand, because that's sort of not late breaking news, but it's the news of the day, and so that will definitely be a topic we talk about. And if you have any issues or questions for Mr. Brand, that'd be great. Cruz, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. I had construction chaos today. I had to clear my calendar to do the wall. The carpenter all of a sudden showed up. Hey, I'm here. I'm leaving town. I need to do it today, or gonna have to wait another month. So I was like, okay, calendar cleared. Do it.
Wow, that sounds okay, Mr. Brown. We're just gonna have to do it with your being black. We'll just assume it's a Black Lives Matter sort of thing, and it'll be funny for now. Yeah, I'm surprised it's giving us this issue with the black. It might also be something to do with the property settings in your camera. My audio sounds a bit choppy, a little bit.
At least to me, a little bit.
Does it sound audio to anybody else other than Cruz? Mr. Brand, are you able to hear me clearly?
Very clearly. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. All right, Mr. Brand, we won't get to see your face, but I'm sorry. It's okay. It'll work. I think if we could put like maybe like a picture of Mr. Brand on the side and we just have have it move forwards or something, it'll be great. So, Mr. Brand, you have run. This is Real Politics, and we usually start with a generic question of who are you, why are you running, and why in the world would you put your name on a ballot in this day and age of evil, horrible politics in and around the Valley and the nation?
Well, I think I pretty much was raised around politics all my life. 35 years that my father was in politics. I was his campaign manager every time but twice. All the Valley. Moved to the Valley when I was 2. I as well just been born here for all practical purposes. But, McAllen's been very good to me and my family. This is our home. And, all the chaos that's going on in the world, you like to think that you try to do what you can, and we know it's difficult to try to have any impact in our capital in DC, and some challenges even do that in Austin. And so I've always just thought, well, I just need to try to impact the things that are around me. And this is my home. This is my run.
Yeah. Mr. Brand, can I ask you a really weird question? Are you using cellular data or are you a hotspot or are you using Wi-Fi right now?
I'm on a desktop.
Okay, but is it tied to a Wi-Fi router in your home or is it using a hotspot cellular data to log in?
No, it's Wi-Fi.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I was wondering because sometimes that might be an issue with regards to when the black screen comes up or something sounds a little bit choppy, and it might be using some cellular data or something like that, which is okay, but it'll be okay. Mr. Brandt, I don't want to start with the hard question first. I usually don't, but since this was the news of the day in the Valley, the Monitor and Brownsville Herald was reporting in regards to the caravans, I guess, or the new change in administration, and now the policy with regards to Customs Border Protection and putting people in our bus stations again and doing catch and release. It sounds like CBP is claiming that they had, were doing catch and release even as far back as April 2020 under the previous administration with President Trump. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are as a candidate, as a resident of McAllen, but also, if you are mayor, what would be potentially your policy in terms of assisting the administration in doing catch and release, or would you be against, or what would you be positioned on that, especially in light of coronavirus?
Well, I believe in legal immigration. Let me just say that. I understand the plight of these people. My family worked in Mexico for 50 years, worked in Central America and Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador for over 20, and seen the poverty and seen the things that go on in those countries. And, there are ways, people come in legally. If they can't come in legally, I tell people when my growing up, what we did, and we made several trips and trying to work in a mission field with folks throughout Central America and Mexico, was go down and help them where they are. I know Obama, last year of his administration, was contemplating what he called safe zones in Central American countries for people to go instead of coming to the United States. I think we do a great disservice to these people to come here and have just as much a difficult time here as they have in their own country. They come here knowing they can't work, and their only options are to live with family that they have here, legal or illegal, which government allows, and we know that a lot of them will get on to some sort of federal program to sustain themselves. And the only other option other than that is crime. Well, none of those are good options. I mean, the best options you look for in that scenario. For me as mayor, if I was mayor, it is not a decision that we as a city can make on our own. I know Jim Darling has had to reach out to the federal government. He's actually obviously worked with the Catholic Charities and other organizations to try to piece together something that has some semblance of order. You know, I know there's a lot of controversy about the respite center in McAllen. But when we were running 1,000 or more people a day that were being caught and processed and released, the respite center did offer some order in that they had a place to go, they had a place to clean up, put on some clean clothes that were donated, and sit down with caseworkers there. And these people always come up with phone numbers. A lot of times they've got some cash. They've got a phone number of relatives to call. They've got an attorney. They've already got tickets. And if they don't, Catholic Charities would give them tickets to go to whatever destination they want. We know that most of them did not stay here. They don't stay in the South. They go north. And if there was not some kind of orderly process to do that in, where would they go? They'd sit right here. We know that when they used the old nursing home that was over on 2nd Street, they maxed it out and ended up with people just wandering up and down the streets of McAllen, which created a lot of problems to a lot of people. And that's why the city ended up having to close it and say you can't do that anymore. You know, it's hard to come up with a solution when you don't know who all the players are and how much they will participate, be it state, be it federal. I mean, the city of McAllen certainly doesn't have a budget for immigrants to deal with this issue. I know in the last campaign, when the city had admitted spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, I asked on a freedom of information request, what was that spent on? And I want to tell you, when I got that, it was about 2 or 3 inches thick report. The majority of what it was spent on was security. It wasn't spent on clothing them and buying them. You know, it was for security for those people while they were in our city. And I do not think it's an easy answer. It is one that you've got. All I can tell you is from my perspective in a position as mayor is I'm going to keep our city safe. And I'm going to do the best we can from a humanitarian standpoint with these folks as they come. It is not our making of this situation, but we find ourselves in the middle of it.
Yeah. No, and that's actually a fair response and a fair answer. And that's one of the good things about, I think, McAllen as a city. McAllen seems to tend to be more economic, more conservative than the rest of the community, at least compared to where I live here in Brownsville, a very liberal city for whatever reason. And so I appreciate that response. Mr. Brand, I want to ask you a very generic question. You know, you've run for city mayor before. What do you feel that you learned from running before, and what do you think that you're going to do differently in this particular campaign, and make you potentially become the mayor of McAllen?
Well, one of the things I learned is we've got to do this campaign is do a better job of communication. I think that was probably one of my shortcomings in the last one.
You're coming out in and out, but you know, obviously this time you're not running against an incumbent, and running against an incumbent is very, very different than running against running an open seat. There's quite a few candidates in this mayoral race. I'm frankly surprised at how many candidates have submitted campaign treasurer appointments. There's 6 of you all at least now, and we still have a week and a half of the ability to file differences, not necessarily to attack your opponents, but what really differentiates yourself from everybody else? And that seems to be a question that comes up almost every time we do an interview. So I might as well ask it for everybody. What separates you as an individual from maybe everyone else that's in the pack that's running for mayor?
One, this is not being on city commission is not a social club. It is a business.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say a business, I mean there are financial responsibilities that people expect us to be good stewards of the money that's given. Right now, you do not have one single businessman on the city commission, not one. And two, I have been on the water district board for this is on my fifth term, my 17th year. I have been in that position as president and general manager for probably 14 of those years.
Mm-hmm.
I put the agenda together on a monthly basis. I moderate the meetings. That is small scale compared to the city, but nevertheless the same skill requirement. So I've been in that position, just on the water district board. I have been on a nonprofit faith-based organization
Mm-hmm.
the same number of years as a state board, and again, I have been the chairman of the board of trustees for that, and I moderate the meetings. I set the meetings up. I put the agendas together. I have been unanimously elected by that board, a statewide board, unanimously for the 14 years I've been there. Of the 14 years I've been there, and at the water district, unanimously voted as president and general manager there for the last 14 years.
Mm.
I think that make no mistake, it makes me feel good. I don't like to be in the middle of any adversarial situation where there's a fight going on. And I enjoy that with both these boards, that there is no internal adversarial atmosphere. We have a very good working atmosphere. I think the city certainly has had that for the majority of its existence, and something I would continue as mayor.
Yeah, no, and you answered actually a second question for me. I feel that when you're running for office as a candidate, you bring your background and in terms of your decision making. I know you to be a Christian man, very much so a Christian man, and you're a businessman. Do you believe that those two attributes will make you a better person and a politician in terms of making decision making as mayor? And will that be front and center in every decision you make as mayor?
Well, I will tell you that my faith is what guides me.
Hmm.
My decision making is always going to be based on that.
Mm.
It is for my own protection and protection of my spouse, my family, and my life in general. And I've just come to the point I can't really apologize for that.
Mm.
It is who I am. It is what I am. I'm an American. I'm a Texan. I'm a Valleyite. I'm a male. I'm white. And someone every day is bashing any of the things that I am. So that's just, you get past that and you go on.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I make no mistake that my experience in the fields I've been in, I want to say to you too that, working for my father for 30 years, in a company that for over 2 decades in the city of McAllen was larger and employed more people than the city and school put together for over 2 decades. I've been in that environment, and I know what it's like, and I understand it. And so I think those things give me a great insight into the environment in which I'd be entering into as mayor. I think it would serve me well.
Mm. Yeah. Cruz, I'd like to welcome everyone who's watching us with us, Real Politics Live. We're here with Mr. Othal Brand, Jr., who is running for mayor of McAllen. Please like and share the feed if you can. Help us spread the word of Mr. Brand, and also the fact that our page has been very consistent in trying to have every candidate that we can get on and invite on for the mayor for the May elections throughout the Valley. So if you know anyone that is running for city commission in and around the Valley, or even school board, or any special district races in the Valley, and you'd like for them to appear on the program and have them have the opportunity to say their say their piece, I should say. And please message the page and invite them and have that person contact us, and we'd like to have them on. Good evening, Commissioner Zamora. How are you doing? Welcome. And Mr. Brand, will allow you to answer questions from people that ask questions either on Facebook or on YouTube. Are there any other comments, Cruz? Hey, Myra, how you doing? Ola Cruz, Ola Claudia again. Yeah. Oh, it sounds on and up, but it's okay. As long as you hear the most of it, that's all that matters. It'll happen. Good evening. Hey, Bert, how are you doing? Love that profile picture of yours. Bert is, here's a question. Bert is asking, what's up with the lawsuit McAllen filed against Hidalgo County? That's incorrect, Bert. The lawsuit that was filed is a lawsuit. The city of McAllen is suing the state of Texas and the Secretary of State in regards to what they believe is an unconstitutional law, I guess. And Mr. Brandt, I think you were one of the petitioners that signed this petition to have the city of McAllen not control their own election and leave it up to Hidalgo County and let them control the election. I'm curious what your thoughts are on this and what was your thinking as to why you think that it's better for the Hidalgo County to control the election as opposed to the city of McAllen.
Well, in this particular case, as being part of the water district, and I don't know how many people know the history of the water district in the city, and our relationships over the last 16, 17 years I've been there. But it's been rather tenuous. It's been at times a very difficult relationship, and I felt like for me that first of all, I didn't think anything about it. I thought the fact that they're challenging it absolutely blew me away, because this was something that was presented. This law has been around for a while. The city of McAllen has a lobbyist who they sit down and go through all every legislative season. The host who works closely with the city of McAllen. The city of McAllen, when this bill came up, never testified, never voiced an objection to it. And who's the one who put it together? So I thought this is all homeboy stuff. This is nothing controversial. Didn't think it would be. Certainly, when I consider and compare it to, if they believe this to be unconstitutional, I find it kind of interesting that they supported wholeheartedly a hospital district bill where it only took 50 people to tell almost 1 million people that they were going to have an election on a district. And that was 100% in favor of that bill. And so now let's see them turn around, make a 180-degree turn on something that's very same principle. Again, just really took me back.
Yeah. And what do you think that you'll be filing maybe like an amicus brief or something in this particular lawsuit to be able to have your say, just in case the state of Texas or the Secretary of State doesn't defend the law to your standards or to your belief?
I can't really answer that right now. I don't know the lay of the land yet. I've not even read what they've filed state. But is it possible? Absolutely. Do I think I do it right now? No.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Cruz wants to ask a follow-up on that question. Cruz? You're muted, Cruz. You're muted.
Also, what do you think about the city of FAR joining the lawsuit? First of all, I don't know whether they would have any standing to join. They could file an amicus, like Roman said, but why would they want to join the city of McAllen on this?
I just think obviously it was a mutually consent on both of their parts to join it together. I can tell you honestly, until I read it in paper, I didn't know that anybody. News to me. No involvement with that at all. Maybe they just find there's more standing if you have more than one city involved.
Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I can. I failed to share it, so I'm trying to share the feed. I shared it once, but I didn't share it my other account. Mr. Brandt, moving on from the topic of this particular the lawsuit, what is the number one issue for you as a candidate that you want solved if you become mayor?
There's a whole list of things that I obviously will put out on our website and put in our literature over the next several months. To me, I want on the second and third floor of City Hall, I want something that I grew up with and saw in my city, and that is the the spirit of a public servant, that we are not customers.
Mm.
We are the people that you work for. And you see that in a lot of the new blood on city commission. I think it's there. But there's still a prevalence. There's been several statements made by city staff that the city of McAllen is the business of McAllen.
Mm-hmm.
That should not be the case. That we're here to serve, and we are not here to lord over or control, but we are here as public servants, elected officials, to serve our community. And that's one of the biggest things I want to see a change in hearts and minds. And as far as the list of things that I'd like to tackle, oh my God, I don't know. Only got an hour, right?
An hour and a half, depending on how well the interview goes, and we have a lot of questions and things like that. Yeah, no, it's a very difficult question, and you know, it just whatever your gut tells you, it doesn't have to necessarily be always going to be number one, but usually a gut will tell you. Because for me, when I you know, not to give my resume or anything like that, but when I ran, there were one or two things that I definitely wanted to accomplish, and this was like, I'm going to make sure this happens. And so I think every candidate pretty much has that, and I think that's a good enough reason for customer service, because that seems to be one of the issues that happens in and around the valley, whether it's McAllen or Brownsville or whatever. They want to make sure, that their city government is running efficiently. And so one of the things that here in Brownsville we always had a concern about was permitting. You would have business people come in and try to develop in the city of Brownsville, and then they would complain that it takes too long, it's too cumbersome, and they were like, I'm just going to go to Dallas County, I'm just going to go to McAllen, it's so much easier over there. And do you think that is still the case in McAllen, that permitting and developing in McAllen is still up to snuff, or does it need improvement? And if it does need improvement, what would you suggest needs to be improved?
I can just tell you that the developers that I work with, and we work with in the water district,
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, that they consider McAllen still to be the most difficult city to work in when it comes to permitting and developing either a subdivision or building homes or commercial properties. That there is still too much bureaucracy in the process.
Mm.
That's what I'm told.
Okay.
Not doing any building myself, you listen to other people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I'll touch on one of them. One of them is that when people come into City Hall and they ask for a permit, and they sit down, and McAllen probably has the most expensive land you can find in the valley. And so when people come to invest here and open a business, they're paying a premium to be here. There's no doubt about it. But when they go into City Hall and they sit down and start putting their plat together, and the city says, yes, we're going to give you a permit, but we're going to need so many square feet that you're going to have to put a pond in with a drain to catch. I think it's a 5-inch rain in 1 hour or something. They have some standard for deciding how large that pit has to be for the lot or the property that you're on. To me, drainage is a big issue. It's one of my big issues. I was here in Beulah in '67. I saw the flood. I saw what flooded. And after that happened, McAllen passed an ordinance. I believe it's still in effect to this day, that no one would build in McAllen unless it was up to the level of that Beulah was in 1967. So what you have now is all of McAllen that was developed at that time, all the land that's grown up around it, is all higher than the land was for old McAllen in 1967, and thus puts them in a much more precarious position than they were before. Now, I've heard some people talk about the hurricanes that we've had, 2017 and 18, and another one, and one we had last year.
Mm-hmm.
And they talked about in the 17 hurricane in McAllen, we had approximately 2,800 homes flooded. They were talking about the fact that now they've done the $20 million of improvements on the bond issue that was passed by the cities of McAllen, that the flooding that we had in 2020 last year that, according to commissioners, it was only 200 homes.
Hmm.
Well, and that sounds great. But in both of those situations, you only had a 16-inch rain in one of them and an 18-inch in another.
Hmm.
Beulah was a 25 to 30-inch hurricane. And if you look at the statistics, since 1851 to date, the state of Texas has had over 67 hurricanes, which averages out about somewhere between 2 and 3 a year. So it is no doubt that we will continue to have this challenge.
Hmm.
But what I see is you can build all the ponds to hold back the water from going to Edinburgh, but it's not going to help when it comes to a flood.
Hmm.
Certainly not a Beulah. Now, the money that the county has spent, the last time I looked at the last bond issue they passed, McAllen being the biggest source of income to the county, none of their drain lines touched McAllen. They all stopped at the north end of Edinburgh.
Hmm.
And so you cannot think that we can hold back water and dig more pits and hold back water. In a hurricane, that's not going to help. It will not. And the bond issue they passed, if you look at what the layout is, they did a lot of what I call internal drainage.
Mm.
But the main drains that carry that water out of this city have had virtually no work done to them. So it's like in your home, you have 2 bathrooms, you add a 3rd bathroom, and you say, I'm going to put drains in the floor on top of that. And so you add all of that, but you still only got a 4-inch drain going out of your house. Well, in essence, if you look at what we've done, that's exactly what we've done. We've increased all the internal drainage, the plumbing, but we haven't increased the outflow.
Mm.
And I think that's a challenge. I think that you cannot keep holding water back. You've got to make this water on the north of the town. You've got to make it go south. You cannot get the county, Drainage District 1, to bring us a larger pipe to the city.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, we're this is Real Politics Live. We're here with Mr. Othal Brand Jr., who's running for mayor of McAllen. If you have any questions for Mr. Brand or comments you'd like to make, please make sure you do it on the feed, whether it's on YouTube or on Facebook, where we're streaming currently. And I don't believe there are any comments that are coming yet. Questions. So I guess, Cruz, do you have one? Did you like to ask Mr. Brand? I haven't allowed you to talk, really.
I'm just curious if, Mr. Brand, do you know whether storm water has to be treated before it gets dumped into the river? I know that the floodway north into the Laguna Madre has a long ways to go, and stuff settles and there's weirs in between. But not being far away from the river, does that storm water have to be treated in any way?
No, it does not.
Excuse me.
No.
I had to fix my ear because it was a little bit clogged for whatever reason. Mr. Brand, the running for mayor is very expensive race. I know over here in Brownsville, some of us they spend $150,000, almost $200,000 to run for mayor. Do you feel that you'll be having to spend about the same amount, or what are your thoughts on spending and campaign finances in this campaign?
I'll tell you, when you're a newcomer, you spend whatever you got to spend. The last campaign, I believe I spent about $225,000 to $250,000.
Oh wow!
Jim Darling spent about $180,000.
Wow, that's a lot of money. I thought Brownsville races were expensive. That's a lot of money. But no, you have to get your name out there, and you have to it's a hard fought race and doing that. Bert is asking the question: what happens to all the disaster relief money that cities and counties get? Is there ever any real accounting of that money?
You know what? All I can tell you, unless you do a freedom of information request, there is no attempt by either any government agency to publish how they have spent that money that I know of.
Yeah. I do have a quick question in regards to the question was texted to me right now. So I apologize. I don't know why it was texted. comment and ask a question on the feed. In regards to the respite center, what are your thoughts on the respite center? Is that going to be something that needs to be revisited into your administration, or is that something that you think is good for the city? And what are your thoughts in the city, assisting and making sure that's successful in order to make sure that those individuals that are coming across illegally or undocumented or whatever the phrase people want to use are in the city and rushed out and gone into the middle of the country?
Well, I will tell you that the Respite Center got a great deal of help from a lot of nonprofits, and there was a lot of people that participated in the function of the Respite Center.
Mm-hmm.
There are some things that I believe that the city did that were probably not their responsibility, that they could have still had a positive effect on the outcome.
Mm.
But you've got to say to yourself that when they left that respite center, they had a bus ticket and they were out of here.
Mm-hmm.
That was not so. Can you imagine back when we had the surge that you would have thousands of folks wondering about our town with nothing, no resources?
Mm-hmm.
So there's got to be some way to it is chaos is what it is. And all we did was it just got shipped north. Somebody's got to deal with them wherever they land. We certainly can't. We were the number one crossing, the county with the most crossings of drugs and people anywhere in the United States. Well over half of all those that came across the border. I don't know how many years now that we are. That's why a bunch of the wall got built here, because this is where they're coming across. This is the most what's the word I want to say there? This is also the most lucrative crossing from the Mexican side for illegals to come across.
Mm-hmm.
And so the cartels are going to make sure that continues. So that's a constant challenge, and that's one this city is not even close, can even closely address. That has to be a county, state, and federal approach to how that's dealt with.
Yeah. Cruz had a follow-up.
There's some Chamber of Commerce folks that want to open up the border, and then you've got folks that are saying we should really completely close down the border because that is really a source of our uptick of infections.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know where you fall on that, regardless of whether we really can. And when I say we, I'm talking about Valley, can do anything about it being an international border. But how do you feel about that? Open it up, or we should have closed it to residents and U.S. citizens going across and coming back?
I believe until this pandemic is dealt with, that they should minimize anybody coming across this river.
Mm.
My understanding is that the Rio sector of Border Patrol has had the most cases of the virus because they're dealing with the most people. These people are coming across because they cannot get help on their own sides. They're coming on this side trying to get help for those that have it. The thing that I actually struggle with is that the counties, both from Cameron and Hidalgo, having the numbers and knowing who they are, why they do not share with us. They give us all this stay-at-home orders and distancing, but tell us how many of those cases are from illegals. Now, they say they don't know. Well, I know that's not true because in the hospital, you've got to give some ID. They know. So how much is that impact on us right now? We don't know because they know that they're not saying. Now, the other thing that that is really disheartening is that they don't give us. I know they interview every one of these people that are contracting this disease, and they know a pattern of how people are contracting it. And they won't. I don't think it's clear. I don't think they're clearly giving us any indication of, well, it's the studies we're running on people that are coming down with is because they're going to. I just say this hypothetically, 50% of them were going to Walmart, or 80% of them were having family gatherings, or whatever the reason. I don't care, but give us some kind of a breakdown so we can deal with it, not from a position of fear, but of just being smart about where we go and how we live our lives. Maybe there's some areas I should stay away from. Maybe there's some places I shouldn't go into. Does that make sense to you?
I don't know if Mr. Brand, Chelsea made a comment right now. I give my endorsement to Othal Brand. He's an amazing boss, and he's the reason I started in politics. He has inspired me to fight for what's right. I am in debt to him. Oh, I didn't know that, Chelsea. I didn't know that. I did not know. Commissioner Zamora is asking, if mayor, what would be your stance or position with regards to working with the surrounding cities of Mission, Far, and Edinburgh? And I'll add a little bit to that, Commissioner. There's one candidate that apparently has said his slogan is going to be McAllen first, and I was taken back by that particular slogan. So this is in line with it. Is it going to be a McAllen first for you as mayor, or will it be a more of a working relationship with the surrounding areas, like Commissioner Zamora is asking?
Well, it's kind of like it's the people of McAllen that elect me. It's not Far, Mission, Edinburgh. And I tell people, those are the people I'm responsible for. But I will be a very good neighbor to those surrounding cities. I will be.
Yeah.
The cooperation that we need between each other is very important. And I think needed more now than it's ever been needed.
All right. That's fair. Myra is asking, how do you expect McAllen to deal with COVID with the illegal immigration? BP is not testing unless they have the obvious signs. We know they are not going to put in the shelter. I think that question's sort of been answered, but if you want to add to it, that'd be great.
I'm not sure that I'm going to answer that one correctly. If I understood it correctly.
Okay. Well, this is an additional question from Bert. It's in line with one of them is in YouTube, the other is in Facebook, so they're shared of mind, and I don't think they're the same person. They're not. With COVID-19, how will the city of McAllen deal with immigrant flooding into the area? So I guess they're in tandem, those two questions.
Well, I think part of it is I work with the federal contractors that do unaccompanied children, and the way they are approaching it is that when they are brought to their facility, they isolate them in a separate building for 14 days. They don't give them shots. They just monitor them for 14 days. And they put them back into the general population of the rest of the people in the facility. Now, that's a pretty hard thing to do if you have thousands of people coming across the day. I know that the federal government is building a temporary facility, $1 million temporary facility. I'm not sure how many beds are in it, but it's certainly got to be at least 1,000. You would hope. But that's just a small bit of you can fill that in one day. And so I know in visiting with the mayor just today that they have been able to acquire the vaccine for McAllen to use as they see fit. And so the solution is not easy when you don't control the solution. Mm-hmm. You don't have the vaccine and everybody's fighting for it. And so, for me, I don't know if that answered the question or not.
That's fine. No. Overall, I think you've answered the question in three different ways, and surprisingly, this seems to be the issue. Unfortunately, today, and we haven't really asked all of the candidates this question because it just seems like it's just booming. And so I do try to be topical, and I think people want to be topical and asking that question. A rapid fire questions are coming up in about 5 minutes or so, not even. So if you have any rapid fire questions, make sure you put them in the comments, and that way Cruz can put them on there for Mr. Brand. But I think this section is going to be a little bit long. So, in the next 5 minutes, Mr. Brand, the coronavirus has been a massive issue in the last 11 months. Some people, I haven't really left my house much in 11 months. What are your thoughts on the pandemic, what the city is doing, what you would do as mayor to try to alleviate the problem, and not just when it affects to the city and the city coffers when it comes to sales tax dollars, but how it's affecting small businesses in your community and the surrounding areas, maybe even a touch on students going back to school, even though that's not necessarily something the city would be involved in. But obviously, it is an issue whether schools are going back to school, kids are going to school, teachers, and being able to go back throughout the city. So it's a hodgepodge pandemic question. So
well, let me tell you a couple. Try to be proactive. Again, I said, when this thing came out, I said, I will not live in fear of it. I will not. I'm try to do the best to live our lives as best we can in the circumstances. For me, a solution, and this is for me, on one of my boards, one of my board members was he remediated buildings, which that means after a hurricane, he would go in and literally dehumidify, pull all the moisture out of the building, then put in the building what's called, it's a technology called air scrubbers. Air scrubbers would go in and then kill all the mold. That technology we've used in our facilities, in all of the facilities that I'm involved in, we use those facilities, this technology. There's two things that will kill the virus. Let me start this way. Alcohol, hydrogen peroxide, and ultraviolet light will kill the virus, and everybody knows that and admits that. This particular technology uses hydrogen peroxide and ultraviolet light as a 99.99% kill. It was developed and patented here in the United States by a U.S. citizen, produced in Dallas. It was developed for NASA because they needed to have a sterile environment for the astronauts in the shuttles. They could not afford to have them sick because there wasn't anybody to help them. This technology has been around for a long time. We have successfully used that in all my facilities, and where I have this technology, we've not had one person come down with the virus. That to me is a viable solution. The second one is, if you can Google humidity and coronavirus. They also say that if you can control your humidity, you have a radical kill on the virus, whatever facility you're in. They say it's if you stay at 40 to 60% humidity levels, it has a great impact on the virus. We do that as well. We maintain all of our facilities at 45% humidity. We do that for several reasons, other than we didn't know it would help in dealing with the virus, but we did it primarily for mold and for controlling mold, mildew, and fungus in our facilities. Anytime you maintain below 50%, every mold on the face of the earth goes dormant or dies. But anyway, those two things together have made a great impact in my ability to continue to function. Now, outside of that, I've had this conversation with some people in City Hall. They right now believe we're at 50% capacity under what we're under right now. That capacity is based on your building permit and what you can hold in your building total. But that does not say that they will not allow a variance if you want to do it outside. So for me, I asked several restaurant owners, if you were able to set up tables and do outside, would you do that in order to get back to 100% capacity? They said in a heartbeat. So I think some of that, I think people have known that. I think the city's made that available. It is discretionary with the city, but I think that is something that really needs to be considered, because we all know the restaurants have probably been hit the hardest of anybody. And certainly other commercial areas as well.
I know that Cruz had put up a question, but I wanted to do rapid fire right now, and then I'll get to Commissioner Zamora's question after rapid fire, because rapid fire is fun and it's about the time we do it now. Rapid fire is very simple, Mr. Bren. There are very simple questions. Don't overthink it. Don't be political. Just answer what first comes to mind, and they're fun. It's just a good 2-3 minutes of fun. Okay. The first question is from Claudia. Her question is menudo or pozole? What is your favorite?
The second.
Pozole. All right, good question. Good answer. Chess or checkers?
Both.
That's political. Typical politician.
Checkers.
It's okay. Tamales or sopes?
Tamales.
All right, good choice. Beef or chicken fajitas?
Chicken.
Yeah, good. Coffee or energy drink?
Neither, but if I had to pick, it'd be an energy drink.
Okay, cool. I'm getting hungry. So am I. What is your paper or plastic grocery bags? Ooh, that's a toughie.
No, not really. I think since McAllen's now doing recycling, which we didn't do years ago when we had paper, I think the paper is a better solution because it is recyclable.
Yeah.
And we're doing recyclable now, so it's doable.
Yeah. Very doable. Zamoras or Cocos? Oh, Commissioner Zamora, because Zamoras or Cocos?
That's not even fair, I mean, just correct as Zamoras. I mean, come on.
What is your other than Zamora's? What's your favorite non-chain restaurant in McAllen? Your favorite non-chain restaurant other than Zamora's? Don't pick that. That's too easy.
No, I wouldn't do that twice. Lone Star.
Lone Star. Okay, good. A&M or TU? Oh, really? Eddie, Tech, UT. Like, come on, Eddie. Be nice. A&M or Texas?
Neither one.
Ooh. I next comment. Next question. Beer or wine?
I don't drink, so that's neither one.
Okay. And LOL. Okay. What is your favorite chain restaurant there in McAllen?
Chain restaurant.
You have so many. It just makes me hungry always.
P.F. Chang's.
Okay. You know what? That's a lot of people's in Brownsville. You could go drive over there just for that. It's nuts. I was like, just get some regular Chinese food. All the same, isn't it? But no, apparently not. P.F. Chang's, good one. Okay. Krispy Kreme or Shipley's?
Oh, definitely Shipley's.
No. What's your favorite donut there?
Just a half a dozen of them.
That's a good answer. Oh, Myra's asking Apple or Samsung?
Samsung.
Okay. I guess you're an Android person. Right Twix or left Twix?
Trick question.
You know what? What is that?
Twix. You know, the candy that you break off, and it's just weird. No. No.
Neither one.
Okay. I would ask you to do the hand signal for your alma mater, but I don't think we can see it, so I can't do it. I think you're a horn frog. I think Mr. Zamora had said that, but I know you're a horn frog because you gave right. Right. Yeah. No, I know that because you given at the university I teach at. Our commencement addresses, you've mentioned that, so that's why I know. But I guess that's enough for rapid fire. That's about 3 minutes. Good guys. Good question, guys. Thanks for joining the fun for rapid fire. Now we'll go back to Commissioner Zamora's question that he asked earlier. Aside from the grants and loans that the city has received and used to assist small business in McAllen, what additional resources or ideas would you implement to support small businesses in McAllen?
Well, no, and I would tell you truthfully, not being in the position that they're in as the commissioners and the mayor, I'd like to see what is available to us, because that's a totally different perspective than where I sit as a private citizen in the business world. And I think a lot of ways to help small businesses. Truthfully, from as an outsider and not insider, taxes are always a consideration. Yeah, and
I'll add, I think it's fair to say I'd like to have more information. I actually wish that more candidates, not that we've interviewed, but I think in general, I think politicians or candidates that are running for office, should be willing to say, you know what, I don't have all the information or have all the answers on it. So I think it's fair to say that, and I think that's what you're saying. It's like I don't have everything that somebody that the Commissioner Zamora would have there at the city. So I think it's a fair answer to do that, and I respect it.
You know, I'm not privy to the ins and outs of grant writing. Don't do it. But the city does a great deal. They have a whole department that does nothing but that.
Exactly.
You know, and then all the available funds that are available through the state and the feds as well. And there's a lot of them, and I know the city taps them as regularly as they can.
Bert is asking, since COVID-19 is almost a year, when will McAllen open up the city parks? Asking for my daughter.
Personally, I don't know. You know, I think sometimes you got a knee-jerk reaction to some things. Sometimes, and I really believe that. Well, they've told us as far as you do distancing on the outside, you know, and I think it's above 80 degrees, the virus cannot survive. And I know today you had, it was well over 85, 90 degrees today. If I was going to be in that position, I say I would base the parks being open or closed. If that's a benchmark, to use that as a benchmark to make it so that at least they're open, just to close them, just across the board, just close them and don't deal with it and be done with it. No, that's not serving us as a citizens well. We know they've told us what the criteria is for this virus, how it survives, when it dies. They know a great deal about it, and I think that there's a better way to do that with the parks, that they can function to some degree, even if it's with mask, and still do the distancing, but still let them use the parks.
Debbie Lee Winslow. Hey, Debbie. A cattle wormer kills the virus. I take cattle wormer every other week. Okay. That's a.
God bless
all right. Yes.
For them.
I always loved going to Calvary Baptist Church on Sunday to be greeted by your dad. I loved him. Oh, wow. Cool. So it's a good thing. Mr. Brand, in regards to hike and bike trails, that's always a good question for my friend Myra and Commissioner Zamora. I want to ask that question. What are your thoughts on the hike and bike trail system there in the city, and what other things for quality of life projects do you foresee in a Brand administration if you are elected?
Well, I think because you see a lot of apartment complexes going up now, and in several areas. And I think the more you have that, you've got to provide space for folks to be in. I've been trying to get the city for some time to. We've helped them tremendously in furthering the hike and bike trail all the way past Trenton, all the way past Best Buy, and already crossing it over to tie it into Edinburgh. And also, I've made the offer to the city several times to extend the hike and bike trail. You know, our water district originally, when it was in full swing in the early years. Of course, we were here before the city was. The water district was, and so we had 200 feet going all the way through the city and all the way to Hidalgo. And have suggested and offered them opportunity to put a hike and bike trail all the way down to Hidalgo, and extend it in all directions that we can. I think it's a great. The city's been on a roll with it for some time, and I think to continue that is I would want to continue. And they have several parks on the drawing board. I know they're trying to work out with Crockett right now to see if they can do that. I think it's a great idea. So no, there's a lot of good things going on in the city of McAllen. Make no mistake.
Commissioner Zamora, yes, hike and bike trails. I knew you'd like it. I have no doubt Commissioner Zamora will like that. So is Myra. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Brand, sorry, I want to already call you Mr. Mayor. You're very welcome, Myra. It's already been about an hour, and I don't want to keep you too much longer. I try to keep it hour and 50 minutes, depending on the questions. And but is there a particular topic that we haven't touched on that you feel that is necessary to touch on, that you feel strongly about, that you would like to talk about right now? That's a free range question. When
I talked about the spirit of a public servant, one of the things that I'd like to see, we've watched over the last 4 or 5 years. It really was disconcerting to see a very large chunks of our city put into TERS that undermines our tax base. And at the same time, it was very disheartening to watch and see millions and millions of dollars given to, I can only think of 2 examples. Of course, there's several. But I know Dave and Buster's was prepaid their rent for, I don't know, 20 years, boom, done. When it came to them, it was done. Tres Lagos, $25 million, done. And they started on building it. And then to turn around in the last campaign, well, 2 things that came up, and I mentioned them as well, and I do appreciate the fact that the city took to heart the synchronizing of lights and the drainage. But when that was something that was, I believe, a true need for the citizens of McAllen, oh, well, if you want that, we're going to have to vote on it, borrow the money, and then you're going to have to pay it back. That demonstrates an attitude to me between those 2 scenarios of some of what I want to change.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I wasn't sure you were done. It seemed. I hope I didn't interrupt you, Mr. Brand.
Not at all. And again, I said last time, I still believe that there checks and balances are important in any organization. I'll tell you, when we get audited in all my organizations, I welcome the auditors. I challenge them to find things that I can correct. It's nice to have a fresh set of eyes to come once a year and look at what we do. It doesn't bother me in the least. But also, I do believe that it was disconcerting when they fired the internal auditor. And I still believe that to me, that puts in question some transparency to the public and to the city commission as a whole. That the auditor back then reported directly to the city commission. And they were, in a way, a check and balance within the city. Everybody knows that the bigger your budget, the more dollars you deal with, the more difficult it is to track, and the easier it is to hide things. That is just the nature of having a big budget. And the city's got the largest one in the county.
Yeah, it does. And we can talk about taxes and budgets. And next time, hopefully, you come back on. Debbie had a comment. I hope you are elected. Your dad's leadership and things he made McAllen what it is today. I know you will carry on his legacy.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Next comment, Bruce. I think there's a few more, and then I'll ask. I always have to ask the debate question. So, has he ever heard of the Gathering Park in Tulsa? Have you ever heard of that particular park?
No, obviously I've been sheltered too much.
Yeah, it's okay. Mr. Brandt, we'd like to host a debate. If you're interested in joining sometime in April, we haven't decided on the date yet. But would you be willing to come back on with us and have a debate with you and your colleagues on the ballot for mayor? It'll be fair.
We would love to do that.
Yeah, and we'll make sure if we have to, we can get Cruz over to your place to try to make sure we can get that camera working for you. Cruz knows how to do that stuff. Yeah. Okay. Give me a second. It should be something that says closing credits or something on the video, Cruz. It should say there's plenty of them. Ms. Producer has labeled them completely for you. She says it's not hard to find. So you still can't find it.
No.
Not you, Mr. Brand. It's Cruz. He apparently can't see it. It's fine. We'll just end it without it. Guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for joining us today on Real Politics Live. Mr. Brand, thank you for joining us today. I hope it was enjoyable for you to be able to do this. And apparently, Commissioner Zamora wants to debate you. No. Bad, Miss Commissioner. Bad. And so again, tomorrow, later on tonight at 11 o'clock, we'll be having Real Talk Real Late. Hopefully, y'all can join us at 11 o'clock. Don't forget, tomorrow at 9 o'clock here on the Real Politics Network, we will have Charlie and Company. His guest is going to be a business person out of South Padre Island, discuss what's happening on the island and what the island is doing and why it's a buzz over on the island. And Cruz, I believe you're having your show on Saturday discussing the economics, taxes, and things like that on Saturday. At what time are you doing it?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. on Saturday, and make sure you turn on live video notifications on your Facebook, and for you to get every show that we do on your notifications. If just in case you think you have it on but you don't have it on, make sure you turn it on. Make sure. I appreciate it, and we'll thankful. I will let you all know this weekend who our guest is on Monday, because my phone is like doing some weird stuff right now. I don't want to grab it. So look forward to seeing you all again on Real Politics Live on Monday at 8 o'clock as always. And God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.